And in the times that you hear of underage drunk driving deaths, say, you never hear liquor stores get called into question, or the debate about, well, maybe we should just, go back to prohibition. You would never hear that.
No, you would never hear that. In those cases, the public is very used to the onus is very shifted to the parents or as a community. What can we do? And it's interesting that because we're so used to alcohol, it's viewed entirely different. But it's the same goddamn thing.
It's the same thing.
In fact, it's quite lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at from a legal perspective, like many, many, many people use pharmaceutical grade opiates and don't die. But lots of people die from alcohol, or you could throw cigarettes in there too.
Sure.
Safe supply of tobacco kills tons and tons of people.
Yeah.
And same type of scenario.
And it's new thinking. And I agree with you. I think having a broader conversation about the various, because safe supply looks like a number of things right now. It doesn't look like a singular thing. Alcohol looks like liquor stores.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or maybe a winery.
Yeah.
But the safe supply of opiates looks like it's a bit of a collage right now in our province.
It is. Yeah. So diversion, I think, will be an ongoing metric that has to be kind of monitored, and because it's so new. What we're doing here is we're so far ahead of the States. I mean, there's some data that we've accumulated over the years, and I think in Europe and stuff, but nobody knows really what would happen. I don't think if we were to just say legalize everything tomorrow. There's no way to know. I mean, would more people experiment and then get hooked on opiates? The data suggests no. The data suggests very little increase or decrease in the amount of people who would end up addicted, but we don't know for sure. So This is one of those things where it's a risk versus benefit. And again, we talk about triaging. We know people are dying right now. That's what we're going to focus on first, is trying to stop that. Once we can make a dent, if we can get these programs to the point where they're making a dent in the number of deaths, then, we can start working on the other stuff. But
That's right.
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
The other concern that I personally have, and I'm sure many people do, especially the conservative voters in this country and province, is how much is this program costing us versus how much are we saving? So here is, people point to, okay, well, right now we're giving people the safe supply that's available, and the opioid agonist therapy most of the time is supplied by the province of BC for free. So that means the taxpayers are paying for this, and depending on what formulations of medications are being used and how high the doses are, some daily prescriptions can be quite expensive. So what I think we need to do is, first of all, we got to find a way to convince manufacturers to start producing things like heroin. We need manufacturers to get good at making diacetylmorphine as a cheaper, readily available, consistent option. I mean, that's something that's got to be worked on its own, and as well as anything else that needs to be done as far as providing drugs and making sure they're available. We've got to get the cost down on those, because I think the metrics of concern here are, say you're in the business of just looking at the economics of this problem. So we got a bunch of people dying in their productive years. So that's hurting our GDP. The people who are relying on street drugs have to find money for street drugs. It's expensive. That requires a lot of petty crime. You got to break the law often, and you got to break it consistently. That results in vandalism, theft, all sorts of different crimes that the police, we need to use resources that cost money to, process all that stuff. That's not considering the theft on its own, as far as the loss of items, the insurance dollars there, etc. You've also got, with the number of overdoses we have, that costs a certain, every time somebody overdoses, an ambulance comes, picks them up, takes them to the hospital, that's a certain price tag. And then
Absolutely.
you've got the price tag of having people living in under such chaotic circumstances where they spend the majority of their day finding enough money to get the drugs they need to make it through the day. So under those circumstances, those people basically they can only focus on getting enough money. They can't focus on other aspects of their life. So it's very difficult for them to stabilize. And when you're living in a very unstable, unpredictable, dangerous environment, like if you're experiencing homelessness or whatever it may be, you tend to use more resources.
Yes.
Through interactions with the police, interactions with healthcare providers, mental health, etc. So we would be looking at how much does all that cost us per person who is at risk of dying right now, and then how much money are we saving by providing them medications that mitigate those risks and stabilize their life so that they can focus on other things and try to find a better way to spend their time.
Yeah.
That's kind of the math equation as far as economics goes. And again, it's going to be a big question mark until I think we can get more people, until we start seeing an impact and a more kind of decisive program that's not all tied up with other antiquated, or not antiquated, but there's conflicting motivations in these programs, right? Like opiate agonist therapy is different than safe supply, but you have people who are on both programs. So in one respect, they have to witness a dose and they are regulated and they can be kicked off that program if they don't comply. In the other respect, it's more of a autonomous program where they're working with their healthcare professional, and their healthcare professional is not saying, well, this is what the book is telling me, so this is what you get. They're saying, this person is telling me this is what they need of this drug to get through and to make their life better. So that's what I'm going to provide, no strings attached. And there's sorting out that needs to be done there. But
do you see those two worlds existing well right now, present day?
I see them from a relative point of view. I'm impressed with what some physicians are able to do, given their hands are kind of tied, right? And they're under tremendous amount of pressure to on the one hand, you've got a contingent of people who are saying, give them whatever they want. You got to save their life, which is true. So there's advocates of safe supply. And then there's the other kind of school of thought where, there's a big push towards, well, we got to monitor how much they're using so that we can bring them down and get them off drugs. And for some people, and I believe this just comes back to autonomy and personal, it's where the person's at. If that person is in a place where they're not interested in going to treatment, they're not interested in titrating off of opiates, then I believe you're wasting your time having them in a opiate agonist therapy program. They should be just given safe supply, and that should be the end of it. But right now you're seeing there's still an amalgamation of the two programs and other programs, and there's all sorts of different initiatives that are all trying to they're trying to do good, but they're also running into each other. So it's pretty confusing.
Yeah.
But this is what you would expect, I think, given the stage that the state of the art is at.
Yeah, we're still very much in the infancy of this whole thing, aren't we?
Yeah, and who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it might be next year. I don't think there'll be a change in government in BC, but there probably will be federally.
Yeah.
And what that does to federal allowances for safer supply, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might say, "Oh no, we're going back to square one. We're taking it down." Like I mean, I would almost expect there to be pressure in that direction.
Same. Oh yeah, same.
So, yeah, we'll see. But I mean, those are just a couple of the things that I think people would be concerned about. I mean, there's more for sure. If there's something you're specifically as a listener concerned about and want us to investigate, we can certainly do our best to do that and get some data for you. Just send us an email and we'll try and figure that out for you.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for that for now. Anyway, what do you think, Corey?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. But we'll come back to this in the very near future for sure.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, everybody. We will talk to you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. See you soon.